Welcome to What the Biz, where we talk about building successful businesses, balancing life, and all the WTB in between. With your hosts,
I'm Brigitte Vector.
And I'm Dan Prochko. Welcome back. How's it going, Brigitte?
Hello. It is going. I am here.
It is going. that bodes well. It is going. Those are not really the words you think you're going to hear when you ask somebody how it's going.
It's funny. I got asked that earlier today, and I was like, I'm on a train that's off the tracks, on fire right now. Like that's what it feels like this week. Oh, it's good. It's all good. I say it with a smile.
Well, right. That's good. I mean, at least you're trying to have some fun with it. I'm in the same boat.
Bad.
Okay.
As a business owner, you have the seasons, and this week has led, like, the hand has been the season this week. And it's not even a bad week. It's just, it's been a week of a lot. And so let's go positive news. Hold on. We're not going to be a full Debbie Downer today. My new hire started Monday. So that is phenomenal. Like, I am very excited about that.
Is this the one we've been talking about for like weeks that you've been really excited for?
It is. Yes.
Oh, nice. There we go. That's awesome.
Finally here. And it's going well, like already diving into client work. So it's just phenomenal. But when you have a week of like month-end close and you're doing payroll conversions, and then you're trying to bring somebody into the company and, teach them all your values and all the things you want them to know. I didn't realize what a week it would be, but it's been a doozy.
That's a lot. I've done that before too, where it's just like I brought on either an intern or somebody, but I'm in the middle of a big project and I'm the one that has to do the training while also completing the project, and you just want to tear your hair out because it's like, where's my time?
Yes But it's good. It's all going to be good at the end. My 12 to 15 hour days will be behind me very soon, and we're going to be happy again.
Nice. That's fun. Yeah. I've had some interesting things happen too as well. One, I have been working with air shows a lot, or not a lot. Throughout the years, I've worked with air shows for like a decade now with a colleague of mine, and we've been working on a last week, like final week to buy tickets campaign through Facebook and everything. And we're doing some pretty interesting testing, like graphics with text, without text. And I know that sounds like, Dan, that sounds so stupid. That's so like, duh, like what? But it's amazing. I like to test these stupid little things that everybody thinks mean nothing, and they mean a lot. And like we have like 5 versions of these ads that we're running and everything. And like, I'm geeking out over the numbers. That's really what it is. I don't have to go into all of it. It's like, I'm just geeking out over like marketing numbers, over what works, what doesn't, why. And it's been a lot of fun. It's only been like 2 days of this campaign, and it's like a total of 5 days. We're going to learn so much, and it's just going to be awesome, because then we're just going to implement that in the future and not even worry about testing it again, which is going to be so great. It's awesome.
I love it.
So, yeah.
There is so much truth though to that testing. Like, much truth to that. And I'm not even a fraction of your knowledge in marketing. I wish I'm a little baby peon.
Right. I wish we tested more, because you're right. There's so much, but we do quite a few tests. It's just like time and budget, with all of our clients, like, do they have it and everything? But man, we've just learned so much that some of it's counterintuitive. I remember we did this test with the whole website for these air shows, like for ticket sales, where it was kind of a natural experiment. We didn't do it on purpose. It's the client decided to redo their website and switch from what they had, which is what we had built, and not us, but like with our colleague built all this out. And it's this long wall of text is what he had, okay, with buttons throughout the page. It looks like one of those sales pages, it's just like really long. And then they switched to this beautifully designed site, a lot of room, big graphics, airplanes, like all this stuff. And they felt really good about it. Their sales tanked.
Really?
Oh yeah. The page with all the like wall of text, graphics breaking it up with a buy button every now and again, demolished. We're talking like 80% drops, 50% drops in ticket sales. It was insane. Like, they were doing $1 million tickets with my friend, and we helped them through all of that. And they went with this other agency and everything. And we still had our marketing stuff on top, which is why they didn't like totally fail, but it was like 50% drop in ticket sales. And the only thing that changed was the website. So it was, yeah.
Okay. So back up. It went from all the text to no text.
Correct. Yes. Yes. So counterintuitive. Many people would see it. And I've gone to shows where I've done talks talks and I've used this, like what makes websites work. And I put this up. I was at a WordPress conference. People were talking about beautiful design and showing all this stuff. And then here I go. Here's a wall of text. Here's a pretty site. Which do you think sold more tickets? Everybody goes pretty site. And I go, nope, 100% more ticket sales on this wall of text. Why? And the whole room is just like, what? Like everybody. And we had like, there were some pretty big design houses in there that had done stuff like Wall Street Journal and like the New Yorker and like all this stuff. And here I am talking about this disgusting page, you know? And yeah, it was just really funny. And the whole reason is that wall of text page has all the information that a family needs to make a decision on what ticket to buy. The other page did, but it was like hidden. You had to like open accordions and all this other stuff. And it was like a little bit harder, not harder. It just, I don't know, it just wasn't as accessible or something.
It didn't flow as easily.
Yeah. It also didn't have images of the day of the event, like what things look like. So, it was just missing some of these things that people needed to make a decision. And yeah, so very, very counterintuitive. So the real test would be, how can we get all that information just looking a little prettier? Can we do that? And does it still? And we haven't run that test yet because we're still breaking, we're still doing record years. So it's just like, there's no reason to fix the wheel, but it just always boggles people's minds when they hear that story and they see it. Cause I have like the screenshots and I show them side by side and just ask, which do you think performs better? And it's really fun.
When I think about myself as a consumer, the pages that are big and long and have all the words that you would think you'd go, oh, I don't even want to read through this. They draw you in enough at the beginning that you want to read through it. And then they have all the little hot buttons, right? So like if you're ready, if you've already been convinced after the first 2 paragraphs, you can kind of dive in and, do what you need to do. But then you have people that keep looking and like, oh, what more answers could they give to me? Or what more am I going to learn about this thing that I want to buy? So yeah, I guess I could see that, but I'm kind of shocked.
Yeah. So been working on that right now and, still finishing up the book, getting really close. It's so close. It's like, when you get closer to the end of a project, you feel like it's never going to end. That's the feeling I have. So we're that close, which is awesome. And then otherwise, I've had like a ton of no-shows. My whole week has just been shot my whole week. Mm-hmm. It's been really weird. A lot of meetings and then like on the calendar, follow up and like everybody says, yeah, going to be there. And then they're not there. And it just throws a wrench into my whole week.
Yeah. That drains a day.
Drains it like crazy. Yeah. Which is actually kind of what we're talking about today, is how do you deal with, distractions and especially when like you're working towards some goals going throughout the year, how do we get back into it? How do we find our motivation, and everything in that level? And I've had that week. So I'm going to be doing what I say today on how I'm going to get back into it. But yeah, that's what we're exploring today. You come into that a lot?
I think it depends. So I have noticed when I try to take a break, right? Or take those like decompression vacations that you are never really not working, there is definitely a distraction to that, even of like getting back into work. Like, so that's just beyond the day-to-day distractions that happen. So, yep, I feel like this is a very good topic for probably anybody.
Yeah. I mean, we just had 4th of July, really long weekend because it was on a Thursday. And so, a lot of people end up taking Friday off. And so after 4 days, how do you jump back in? I look at this topic kind of in 2 ways. There's the personal distractions, your external, internal, and we can talk about those. But then there's also the organizational distraction, of like, how do we keep the company on point and in focus? And I'm kind of hoping we talk about both today.
Before we dive in, now that you brought that up, have you ever felt like when one is on a really good track, the other one is like the side that's kind of like dropping or failing, right? So like if you have personal distractions in check, that it feels like the business like almost is being not neglected, but like you can feel like there's something.
Why is that? Why you're taking my notes off the page right now. I don't know why that is, but I'm totally with you right now because I have totally refocused personally. Like I started working out again. I've been paying attention to what I've been eating. Like I'm even calorie counting again, just to get a sense, not like, 'cause like I'm super into that, but just like, am I overeating? And am I making sure the laundry's getting done? I'm like even try, but then on the business side, even though I have an 8-hour day, it's just like, why are there so many things just not done? Why are we, where, what? So I know I feel that. I don't know why that is. That's funny.
Well, I'm glad I'm not alone, but I'm sorry that
you're not alone.
That too.
No, I totally experienced that. So maybe you'll help me here a little bit today. But no, on each side, I mean, we both experienced a ton of it. On a personal side, I always look at it as pretty much external, internal, and that's kind of the same for an organization. But it's like I always get distracted by two things. It's either someone from the outside has interrupted my day, or I have this nagging feeling in my brain about some little thing that I think needs to be done but doesn't. It's usually one of those two things. And the first one, the external one, I think is way easier to control, which is funny because you can't control other people, but it's still, I think, the easier one to control because you can mute your phone, you can close your email tab, you can put a do not disturb on your door, or go work somewhere where you know nobody knows you. You know, like that's the easy one. Anything else that I'm missing on the external one? I'm just thinking about that one.
No, I think you've pretty much nailed the top ones. You know, just whatever you can do to limit those external pieces coming in. Yeah.
So the big one on that is keeping my email tab open. I love this new feature in Google Chrome where you can create tab groups now, and then you can actually minimize that group. So I create a productivity group, and so my email tab is always open, but I minimize it so it just goes into this purple dot, and it doesn't give me like that notification of you have an email, or I don't have, like, because the tab isn't open, I don't have the desire to go look at it and get distracted. And so that has been the greatest feature update in Google Chrome right now, where I have it open, but I just don't want to check it, and I just check it when I want. So that has been my number one savior right now on that front.
I love when my tabs get lost in the colors that I didn't intentionally put into the colors. So that, I mean, that's a distraction in itself for me. But yes, I'm glad that you're utilizing it effectively.
Nope, I am utilizing it, and I love them. The tab groups are amazing. I really only have one tab group. I don't have multiple. It's just the one. It's just my like email, calendar, Google Drive folder, and like my CRM. And then I just minimize those when I'm in a task working on something, and then I pull those back out when I'm ready. But the harder one is the internal stuff, you know, where it's like, I'm checking my email, and this email came in where somebody's asking me this easy thing for me to fix, you know, or a chat comes in from the team, or it's like, hey, what's going on with this? Why doesn't this work? And it's like, oh yeah, I'll go take a look at that. I'll go fix that right now, because they're really easy to go fix. You know, that's one way it pops up, and then I'm not working on what I need to work on. Sure enough, those are like 4-hour tasks that are not the 20 minutes. Or what ends up happening is I'm in the middle of something, but I can't finish it because something else isn't in place. Or more accurately, I think I can't finish it because it needs this other piece to be perfect. And I put perfect in quotes because nothing's ever perfect. So those are the things. And that's the one I struggle the most with, is like, I'm working on a blog post and it could go live without a graphic. Like, it doesn't need a graphic. It's like, no, I'm going to stop editing this right now because I have this idea in my head that I need to make these graphics. And so 2 hours will go by because, of course, I'm playing with AI, and the blog post doesn't even get finished, you know, and then I'm not working on it, and then I don't touch it for another week, and it should have been done today. Like, it's, yeah.
I think mine goes along that route where I'll be working on something, and it could be something that then triggers like this bright idea, that like little golden goose idea, right? Like squirrel, that is going to be phenomenal.
Yes.
Let me go make notes on that, and then let me go research it, and then let me start thinking about planning how I would actually do that. And it just turns into a massive like time suck. Or I'll be working on things and I'm like, this process really could be a lot better. I think instead of doing it, this is the appropriate time for me to like fully change the process on how we do this instead of just doing it. Yes. So mine is more just internal, my brain. I need to learn how to keep it.
Yeah,
keep it in
very
check.
similar thing. There's nothing like, let's make an internal process better just so I don't have to do the work.
Yeah, like that sounds great. Let's do that. And I know that we always talk about like the age like that we're in, right? The digital age, like there's everything is at our fingertips at this point. And I just feel like there is so much more to keep us distracted, right? And it's normally when you're doing tasks that maybe don't take as much brain power. And that's when like mine will be like, oh my gosh, should I respond to that email that I meant to respond to? Or did I answer that Facebook DM, you know, answering that person's question question that they sent me. And then I stop and go look at that thing. For me, with the internal distractions, I have tried really hard to get to a point that I know I work best very early morning. Like it's quiet, so I don't have external distractions. My mind is very focused early morning. And so I try to prioritize like my tasks that I really want to focus on for that time period. And I also, I can't remember, it was a podcast I was listening to the other day that they mentioned that they will not take meetings at all during those like highly productive, non-distracting times. Like that calendar, it is a no option to schedule a meeting during that time period. And, if you do, you've pretty much set yourself up for a day that you're going to probably be distracted the entire rest of the day. And I loved that tip to just protect that time.
That's such a good tip of like finding that time when you work best and protecting it with your life. Totally. Mm-hmm. That's I tried to do that. I fail. I'm going to have to double down on that one some more. In terms of solutions for me, what is it? I go in and out of being good at this, but it does go back to what I've talked before about productivity and the lists and having a place to write down the idea. But to what you said, more specifically, it's what you said about the process. It's follow the process. Don't try to improve it. If you notice something's wrong with it, write it down and just take it to that meeting when that matters of like, now we're going to fix the process. It's like, kids, nothing is perfect and every process can be improved all the time. And I fall into the same trap a lot. But what's helped me most is just writing it down somewhere of like, this has to get fixed. And then I don't have to worry about it. And then I'll just follow the process that I have. That's what I do and I'm good at it. And I'm getting way better at that, of just that piece of, oh, this doesn't quite work as a process right here, but I can't fix it because that's not the point of where I'm at.
Right.
Yeah.
I like that.
So yeah, those are really like on an internal level, it's like that. And then also making sure that I have my prioritized list for the day. One, but more more advanced than that, at least in my brain, more advanced than that is taking those tasks and actually scheduling them on the calendar. Because it's very different to come to a time block on your calendar that is like, for me at least, it is, that's totally open, that just says like work block. Okay, great. That means I can work on whatever I want, even though I have this list. That's very different than, oh, write this blog post or build this advertisement. Like I have no choice, but that's what I scheduled. Focus. Like that's what you're working on. And if it ends up taking more time, then I was just bad at estimating the time. And that's a whole other issue. But I have found that actually putting it onto my calendar has made me much more focused.
I love that tip. Do you do that like the night before, like when you're closing out for the day, so you know where you're starting the next day? Love it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. What I have is at the beginning of every week, like on a Sunday, or sometimes it's Friday, but usually on a Sunday when like you're at home just chilling, nothing going on, I will go into my productivity workbook. I have a notebook specifically for all my tasks, like day to day and everything. And I will just list, here's all the things I need to do this week. I have one page that's just a huge list. And I might even write like what day like it's due this week or whatever. And then I will go day by day on Sunday still. I'll go day by day and actually schedule all the days out in the week because my meetings are already scheduled. I already have my sales blocks, blocked out. So I don't have like meetings or other things there. So if a sales call pops up, it goes into those time blocks. So I know that's not an issue. So I actually am able to schedule a whole week out ahead of time. It's not just day by day, it's a whole week. And then every day I go in and be like, okay, does anything have to change? Does this not work? Does this work or not work, etc. That sounds, now that I say it, wow, that sounds really tedious and like I'm micromanaging my whole life, but there's just so much going on. And I find if I don't do it, I get half as much done than if I get it done. I still don't get everything done.
Yeah.
I don't think there's enough time to get it all done, but some weeks you do, some weeks you only get half of it done. But the point is like, whenever I start the next week, I just notice how many I've checked off from the week before. It's just like stuff is getting done.
Yeah.
And that just feels good and keeps me more focused or more inspired and motivated to keep moving toward our goal.
Well, you can actually see the progression if you're looking at things happening. I do something similar. So we use Asana for all of our task management, and we can actually go to a board that we can see the week, right? And we can move the tasks, and I have them color coded for ones that like you cannot move it. It has to be done by this day. And I'm trying to get much better at then correlating that list and letting it talk to my calendar to actually block the time for those things. So that's where I love what you're doing with the like actually scheduling it on your calendar too. I'm not always the best at it, but I do the same thing. Like I'll go into Asana on Sunday and be like, okay, what does my week look look like? Where can I, kind of arrange tasks? So I love that tip. I'm going to have to add in more of the calendar piece.
Yeah, I found I've gotten twice as much stuff done by just scheduling specific tasks into specific time blocks that are the appropriate size, or just if something has to get split over 2 days, over 2 time blocks, just making sure it's very clear. This is what I'm working on in this time block. Here's what I'm working on in that time block. I found it to be immensely helpful. We've talked all about personal stuff so far, but go on. No, you first. Yeah, go for it.
No, roll for it. I was just going to bring up.
I was going to say, we've done all the personal stuff and you brought in Asana. So I was just like, you know what, let's talk about companies because a company can get distracted quite a bit. And I think we talked about this not too long ago, but there's this concept that was brought up to me years ago and then reminded about 6 months ago. And it was like, a lot of companies work on things internally to improve internal things rather than improving client quality and client deliverables or the value of stuff that goes out. And that really struck me because I find that a huge distraction. And you kind of alluded to it a little bit with the process improvement, where we can improve process. I've done so much process improvement to get like a 5% improvement, a 1% improvement. And it's just like, why did I spend so much time for like 30 seconds of savings? Like, I'm sorry that I don't do it that repetitively, where that's needed. That's a huge distraction that we're trying to get way better at of like, sure, this isn't perfect, but this is the process we have. Let's live with it. And instead of fixing it to be perfect because the world changes, let's just work on that next new thing or the next best thing for the client or for our customers and put the best thing out. So that's a big mindset shift that we're having right now.
Well, I think it's easier in some ways to work on the internal business things because it impacts you in some way directly. But if you want to think about what actually impacts the business, it would be those things that touch the clients or the customers. We have gotten to the point that we will actually ask, does this directly impact something that the customer is going to see or feel? Does this make their onboarding better? Does this make their customer experience better? Does this make our communication better? So is it going to touch the client or customer? And is it going to make their experience better? That's really where we try to go to. Do we do it all the time? No, but we really try to bring that forward.
Right. That's a perfect question though. I really like that question a lot. It's something we're going to have to put in place during our meetings where it's just like, I want to work on this. It's like, all right, let's ask the question. Yep. Does this impact what the customer is going to see and feel? I love that question so much. Yep. A lot of value there, quite a bit. The only other thing, that I kind of think about as it relates to distractions is large projects within a company. And I've talked about this a lot. And so I think this is my thing. We as humans are really bad at understanding what does a year goal actually mean, And so breaking things down into smaller chunks is really, really vital. It's one reason why, we're on EOS, and it's one reason they don't call them year-long projects. They call them initiatives because it's there's many ways to get there, and you may have to pivot in the year, but an initiative tends to be true regardless of what happens. Like we want to reach 2 million, or we want to add on X number of clients, or launch X new service, unless something major happens in the marketplace where, you don't need that service anymore at all for some reason, you're going to do it. But how you do it might change. A new tool may come out midway through the year, or cost structures might change or something, something might happen to shift, but you're still going to work on that in some way. So they call them initiatives. So we come up with our initiatives, and then every quarter we decide, okay, what are the projects that need to happen this quarter so that we reach that initiative by the end of the year? And so we just break it down into 90-day chunks. And then everybody has their own personal tasks in those projects. Somebody owns it, creates a whole project, and then divvies out tasks or has their own, and then they get done. So yeah, we like to do it that way because then you can go week by week and just say, did those tasks get done this week? Yes, no. Did those tasks get done this? No. And you're leading toward that 90-day goal. And then if you get the 90 days done, you've hit it by the end of the year. So we like to focus like that, make things much shorter.
I love it. The other thing I would mention with distractions in business is losing sight of why your business exists in the first place, because that also impacts your personal sometimes. And the other piece around that is, I know a lot of businesses don't necessarily want to like niche or however you want to pronounce it, or specialize. But we personally have had to kind of look at this with clients coming to us of like, is that project or is that client going to be so far out of our normal operations that we are going to have to develop like a whole nother branch or a whole different way of doing things to accommodate them. And that ultimately distracts the business as a whole from whatever they're trying to achieve or get to. So we utilize a roadmap. And every time we're working on what you were talking about, like those initiatives and then breaking down those goals, does that talk to our why we exist and the impact we want to make? And does it fit into our business structure? If it doesn't, we should scrap it or put it on a parking lot somewhere, or someday maybe we'll come back to this. But I think new opportunities coming into our lives is one of the easiest ways to get business distracted, because you see that new shiny thing and you're like, oh, that might be wonderful to be part of, or that might be wonderful to do, or maybe we should add that in, and it can completely derail, what's working inside of your business or distract you from what you should be focusing on and actually hurt you achieving your goals. So always coming back to like, what is our roadmap? What's our why? And what do we actually want to achieve? And why do we want to achieve it?
Yeah, that's a really good point, because it takes a lot of effort to develop those new services or tools or processes for that exception. You have that one client come in that is different than everybody else. It's lucrative. So you're like, we can do that. But then when you get into it, you're right. It takes time away. It's so hard. It's easy to follow the money is really what it is. And it's harder, yet more valuable to stay focused and be able to say no, because you're going to do it more profitably. That time you take to develop that one-off is going to impact your profit like no other. So that's such a good point. That's a really good point. Yeah.
And I feel like the longer you're in business, or the more you mature in business, the more you realize the detrimental impact that those yeses have on you, and the less tolerant you become of them. I think that's also why businesses get to a point that they shed some of those distractions, right? They go backwards to go forwards because they've realized how badly those distractions or those one-offs or those weird pieces of their business are, holding them back. So
yeah. We what did we have to say no to recently? We had a client ask us if we wanted B2B. So we've had a couple that's what it was. We had a couple of B2B prospects come to us recently and like, hey, we do a lot in residential cleaning, home services, it's a B2C kind of transaction. And we had a lot of commercial cleaning companies come to us and be like, hey, can you help us, et cetera. And we just be like, hey, it's a totally different, it's not, but it is, it's different. You're doing more account-based marketing than the advertising for a direct response, et cetera. So it's a different sales cycle and a different marketing technique that would need to be added. That's too different from what we do. And while I know how to do it, because that's what I did when I worked corporate, it's not what we focus in. So we had to say no. And I think I'm happier for it. I'm way happier for it.
Yeah.
I hope they all succeed though. I did give them a recommendation of who to work with, but yeah, not something that we wanted to really touch on. So yeah.
That actually brings a topic to mind that maybe we should discuss at some point is, outgrowing some of your current, clients or customer base, and, what you do about that, or growing beyond what you used to offer and what you do to make that pivot.
Such a great topic. Yeah. We've done that we've done that once or twice. So yeah, I like that. Ooh, we should do that. Maybe next week. See. Yeah. All right, cool. What's coming up next for you?
Oh, goodness. Actually, we are going to, so we're finishing our coaching and training programs. Like we're still working through all those recordings. But we are going to put a big initiative on really just talking about our diagnostic review services that we offer, doing those accounting health checkups, because you don't know what you don't know that you might be missing. And so it's a really low cost way to get that checkup to make sure you're not paying too much in taxes or missing some huge red flag that could really hurt your business. So that's going to be our focus for the next quarter.
Very cool. What do I got? I am, of course, finishing the book. I already teased that at the beginning. So working on that. And then we have had some clients come forward with automation projects. Some of them smaller, but helping them, one of the things that we keep hearing from owners is like, I get so many leads, but I'm still doing the work. I don't have time to follow up, and it's just like, okay, we can totally help you with that. we have this automation, where it'll follow up for you so that you have some extra time to get in touch, or, it will get some info and then you can follow up after that when you're available. So it helps keep, leads and deals, more fresh for when they're able to finally call in the evening or the next day. So we're doing a couple of those projects right now for some of our clients. And outside of that, just my comedy show, working on that. Yeah.
Nice.
That's a lot of fun.
Yeah. The one you're developing?
Yeah. The political satire. Political satire. Yeah. It's set up like a debate. Every time I bring that up, somebody's like the most recent one. And I'm like, no, not like the most recent one, but it might feel like it,
That's funny.
But it's a lot of fun. We laugh so hard during rehearsal. And I'm so looking forward to putting it on. Yeah. So that's what I got going on today.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, thank you everybody for joining us for another week of What the Biz. If you enjoyed what you heard, please leave us a review on your favorite platform. Maybe it's iTunes, or what's it called now? Apple Podcasts? I don't know. Or Stitcher or wherever. Is that even a thing anymore now that I think about it? Maybe it's Spotify. See, I'm all out of it. Anyway, leave us a review somewhere. If you got a question, you can leave us a voicemail through the website, which is whatthebiz.com. I'm Dan.
I'm Brigitte.
Thanks for joining in What the Biz.